right, with increased confidence, right, increased self-esteem, self-efficacy, all of these things we see are improved or enhanced through peer mentoring. So let me ask you guys this question. What do you think are some of the perceived risks in peer mentoring?
Getting too close.
I'm sorry, there was two people speaking. One go first, second one. I can't see who was speaking, so there's no name association with it.
Start with my, is it Maj? Maj?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just saying that, sometimes people start programs, but they don't have the information, they don't have the learning, and everybody's not a good mentor, so we can sometimes traumatize or burn youth when we try and do it in an ineffectual way.
Nice, thank you, appreciate that.
Wonderful. Nicole?
Yes, I would say that sometimes we want more from our mentees than they can give at that time. So, understanding for them to meet them where they are. So not coercing them to, go along with their decisions, but allowing them to make their own decisions.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Anything in the chat box?
Marcus said lack of dedication in the chat. We have getting too close to the youth and family, wanting to do more than you're able to do, from Chelsea.
I'm looking at this as well. Ms. Montfort said, no boundaries, getting too attached, not knowing how to successfully end the relationship, right? Boundaries, right? We don't know, if the young people may, develop a relationship outside of the program, right? So what does that look like? What conversations are they having? How do we monitor these things, right? So how do we monitor these relationships as well? Cool, thank you. All right, so before we begin and go into the meat and potatoes of this, I want to get a feel of how can I better assist you, right? I want to place emphasis on certain things, but in order for me to do that, I need you to help me, right? Help me help you. So the first question is, what stage of program development are you in?
So my name is Pat Mosby again, and I'm with the Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. Okay. We are just starting. We have had a youth group for years, and we've been, working on it and everything, but I find that we need to, get some more information and really do this in the proper way. And so I'm here to learn as much as I can to start our program.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us as well. All right. Debbie from Let's Go also said exploring the idea of adding peer mentoring. And Ms. Sims also wrote that they're just beginning a program. Great. So I'm hearing that people are entertaining the idea and also just starting. Great. And what are your current challenges and barriers that you're facing, that you're seeing in developing or designing your program? Do we have any?
Good morning, my name is Chinny Nwagbo, and I'm representing Peace Players International, specifically Baltimore. One of the challenges that we have are, while we have the resources, a lot of schools just don't have the time for our after-school programming because their kids either don't have computers yet and they're trying to figure out the transitions. And so one of the challenges that we have is just getting implemented into schools, community centers, and partnerships and things of that nature. We have the resources, we're funded by Nike, but sometimes it's just hard to be able to sit down with the principals or the program directors to see how we can add value to schools because of the infrastructure.
Thank you. And I see that Ms. Mosby wrote money. I think I figured that was going to pop up at least once today. All right. Thank you, Ms. Mosby. Oh, need more staff and volunteers. Nice. Good. All right. So we'll talk
So for
about
me,
yes,
yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
Jeff Thompson from 1012 Sports in Baltimore City. And so for me, as it pertains to the peer mentoring piece, I think just knowing that balance of like, this person has a lot to offer, but would it be harmful for them to be in sort of a mentoring role? You know what I'm saying? If that you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
When you say this person, are you speaking for the mentor or the mentee?
So yeah, so the mentor, you know what I'm saying, as it pertains to peer mentoring, somebody who's close in age, say, you know what I'm saying, two years older, and it's like, man, this could be really good, or this could be really this could be really bad, you know what I mean? And so what are those factors that are just like, all right, like you're not ready for that, versus like, man, you know what, you obviously rough around the edges, but this could be something that's beautiful, that's used powerfully. You know what I mean? So that balance is probably, kind of the biggest kind of barrier.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm going to address that in here as well. You know, it all depends on, and it all contingent upon what we do on the front end. You know, how we train and develop, and the people that we bring around our mentors to make sure that we're holding them accountable, but also pulling them up. All right. Then also see concerns regarding liability. Great. All right. So let's. So support seeing the need for programs. Got it. All right. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. We have about an hour left, so I'm gonna zoom through it. We have a lot of information. Please tell me to slow down if I'm moving too fast. I'm gonna provide some opportunities for us to reflect and think back, and then for me to hear from you all about the information that you received. All right. Cool. So when we're talking about quality design and development, right, we want to begin with the end in mind, right? When you're developing and designing your mentoring program, or you're trying to improve your program, we have to think about what it is that we want the young people to receive at the end of the program. How do you define success in your program, right? What does it mean to have a successful program? All right. How are we defining the outcomes? Now we got to remember that these outcomes, right? How you define success and the outcomes that you have for your mentors and your mentees creates your lens of intentionality for you to develop your program. The National Mentor calls it the lens of theory of change. And I don't know if everyone is familiar with a theory of change, right? It also goes along with your logic model, which are evaluation tools. Okay, so you want to develop a theory of change. You want to develop your logic model, because this is going to be the lens in which you design and develop your program, right? And we also have to remember that mentoring programs, and especially peer mentoring programs, the relationship between mentee and mentor is the primary focus, right? So you have to think about, when you're developing your program and designing it, how are you going to foster that relationship between the mentors and the mentees, right? Mentoring programs, logic models, right, that do not include, right, the development of a trusting relationship, right, as that mechanism for achieving your goals, isn't a mentoring program, it's a youth development program. I say that again, if your program isn't focused on, or your outcomes or your logic model or theory of change doesn't include a relationship between the mentor and mentee, right? How you're evaluating and measuring it, then you're not doing a mentoring program. You're doing youth development. It's an after-school program. So we have to remember that the primary function and the primary goal of a mentoring program is the relationship. So as we're developing our program, we want to think about the end in mind, the outcomes, how do we define success, and then how do we build relationships? So here are my top 5 considerations for designing and developing your program. The first is that you have to choose a model that best fits your capacity and the youth outcomes. Remember, we're looking through this lens of theory of change, right? The lens of intentionality for development, right? Based off of your outcomes. So does your model right? Your peer mentor model, does it fit your capacity and the outcomes that you have outlined, right? Second consideration is your program informed by youth? Are you centering youth voice in your work? You say you want to have a youth program? Who's informing this? Are you considering the youth voice in mind when you're developing this program? All right. The third consideration is you have to establish a field, a theme, right? An identity, create some sense of culture in your community, because that goes hand in hand with retention. If I don't feel connected, if I don't feel like I'm a part of this thing, right? Or what is this thing, right? This mentoring program is not just a mentoring program, but what is that feel, that theme, right? Now I'm not going to feel connected to it, right? But you also, right, through that lens, develop a theme and identity that fits your population, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And then you want to hire a qualified youth developer. I'm gonna have to tell you, this probably should have been number one on the list, right? Like Biggie said, this should have been number one to me. Your program is not going to go nowhere if you don't have a qualified youth developer, a qualified staff member that knows how to engage and keep young people interested and engaged. It's not going to work. I've seen it not work. All right. And then also partnerships. All right. I saw someone say, like, staff support or need support of volunteers, right? These partnerships help in that way. And we'll talk about what partnerships can look like, and the possibility of partnerships. All right. I see you, Nancy. And then you also want to implement a curriculum, right? Include something that's evidence-based. Your curriculum is essentially going to be your roadmap, right? These planned activities that support your theme. All right. We got to have this planned activity and curriculum that's going to get us to that final destination. All right. Now let's take a deeper dive into these 10 considerations. I spoke about your model. Your model, that's that whip, Corvette, right? That's the vehicle that's going to take you to that final destination, that endpoint. Okay. So we have to be mindful and intentional about what our model is. Now, I know you chose a peer mentor model, but there's sub-models a part of that. And we're going to take a dive into that right now. Right. So we have CAMP, right? The cross-age mentoring program is one model versus a near to peer mentoring model. And I'll explain the difference, right? Because you'll see these things used interchangeably. And they somewhat mean the similar thing with a young person, a young adult, or excuse me, a young youth being mentored by an older youth, right? But a camp is, let's compare a camp to a senior, right? A senior in high school mentoring an 8th grader who's about to come into high school, or a senior mentoring a freshman, right? Or seniors and juniors mentoring freshmen. All right, that's a cross-age peer mentor model, or 9th and 10th grader mentoring middle school students, right? A near to peer, what is this? Oh, wow. How did this happen? What? Hold on one second, y'all. I don't know how these annotations happen. Let me clear. Wow, that was weird. Thank you. Sorry about that, y'all. So now your near to peer could be a transitional age youth, right? 16, 17, 18, up to 24, mentoring middle school youth, or college age youth, right? Mentoring high school age students, okay? So they're a little bit further. There's a little bit of further gap, right? So you can have like 18, 19, 20-year-olds mentoring middle school students. And that was a program that I ran. I ran a cross-age near to peer mentoring model with transitional age youth. And I'll share my model with you in a few, all right? And then also we thinking about our setting, right? Is it school-based or community-based, right? School-based has its own challenges versus community-based. It also has its own supports. So if you have a school-based mentoring program, you could get support from counselors for enrollment, right? Or recruitment or screening mentors, all right? You have a place to host your program, whether it's during the lunch hours, or during the after school hours. Your community setting could be at a library or rec center, right? Now, also, are you doing group or one-on-one mentoring? Okay, is your program group or one-on-one? Group, is it with 2, 3 to 4 mentees? 2, 3 to 4 mentors, meaning with about maybe like 8 to 10 to 12 mentees, right? Versus one-on-one, right? So group mentoring programs group peer mentoring models are traditionally supervised, right? But then you also have some unsupervised mentoring programs as well, right? Your unsupervised mentoring programs could include college age students meeting with high school students, right, on their college campus, okay? And now you could do a hybrid, a combination of them all, right? You can have a community, a near to peer, school-based group supervised mentor model. And that's what I did, right? So use your lens of intentionality, your lens of theory of change, right, for your outcomes to see which is going to be the best model that's going to get us to our outcomes, okay? What is going to be your vehicle? Not just the peer mentor models, the school-based, community-based, group, one-on-one, okay? And then you also have a tiered approach, right? A tiered approach could be your mentees, right, who are in 9th grade, are now seniors, they now become mentors, right? And they can share their experience of them being in a program with other mentees coming up. So you can have a tiered mentoring program. You can even have junior mentors, a mentee, junior mentors, and mentors, which was similar to the program that I saw. We had mentees who were middle schoolers. When they matriculated on outside of the program, when they aged out, the young people came back and said, Jeff, we still want to be a part of the program. I'm like, it's only for middle schoolers. But I didn't want to turn the young people away, so I created the junior mentor role for them to still participate and receive SSL hours towards their graduation for high school. And they supported their transitional age mentors as junior mentors, and we tiered it, right? As our program got older and it developed, and we saw young people aged out but still wanted to be a part of it, we tiered it. So that's an example of how you can modify and enhance your programs as well. All right. Number 2, we talked about youth voice, right? Having youth being centered in all of our work, right? We have to get their insight. While we may be experts in the mentoring field, our youth are the only experts on what it's like to be young right now. All right. That is true. I tell people right now, I cannot do this work in training and developing youth practitioners and program leaders about how to work with young people if I stop working with young people. I still got to be connected with young people. So I still do work with young people, direct service work, right? Because I still need to get their insight, their voices, right? Know what's trending, know what's happening, know what's working and know what's not working, all right? So we have to get their voices in order for us to inform, in order for us to be informed by them in order to create this program, all right? That's going to work for them. So how can we create spaces, right, to get those youth voices? We could do forums, listening panels, right? Sit some of your program leaders up, right? With the developers of your program, sit them down and have youth just talk to them about their concerns, their issues, their challenges, their wants, their likes, their dislikes, right? We're meeting them where they're at, right? We're using them as consultants. Our young people are resources, all right? They're not just going to receive our services. We need to use them as resources. Host focus groups, conduct interviews and surveys, maybe put a competition together. Hey, if you could design a mentoring program, what would it look like? Minimum, right? And have them fill in their a questionnaire or a survey or make it into a competition. And then also you can have a youth advisory board for your program. Okay, think about that. Youth leadership, providing these youth leadership opportunities, right? Making them a part of your development team, right? Using them to screen, and then you could also use these, right? These spaces that you created as a screening process for potential mentors. Those who are involved in this process may be your best candidates for mentors. Or some of these young people, hey, they may not have the time or capacity to be a mentor, but they can add value to the development and design of it. So please think about using your youth as consultants for developing your program. All right, let me close this out. All right. Now we talked about, this theme, right? How does your program feel, right? What is the identity, the special theme, right? And so what is that special theme about your program? How do we get young people to feel connected to your mentoring program, all right? So is your program centered around something exciting? Is it around sports, arts, career, entrepreneurship, right? STEM, or is it around cultural identity, diversity, right? What is that theme about your program? What is the purpose, right? The specific goal, and remember, I'm gonna keep referring to this, you're utilizing your lens. That's why I can't get into the weed of this, because I gotta know your lens, okay? So what is your special purpose, right? Are you fighting for something? Are you fighting against something, right? Are you trying to develop people, young people? Are you trying to give them skills? What is it that you're doing? What is your purpose, all right? Special people. Your staff need to be excited, animated, you-friendly. They got to see your staff as cool. Young people define what cool is, not us. Young people define what cool is. So we got to have special people on our board, special people that's leading the program, okay? Now, does your program give special incentives? Do you give stipends, okay? Do you give, do you have guest speakers coming, right? Credible guest speakers. Are you having food? Are you doing pizza socials, ice cream socials monthly, field trips, exposure trips, right? Those are selling tickets, all right? Sporting events or community projects. Do you celebrate your mentors, right? Do you give them awards and plaques and gift cards for doing exceptionally well, right? Mentor of the month, mentee of the month thing, right? What is special? What special incentives do you have, right? Are you doing Christmas parties and giving gifts away for Christmas? Do you celebrate their birthdays? Okay. And then you have a special way of doing things, right? You have a special way of doing things that you've developed some sense of culture in your program, all right? So how do you do a special way of recruiting mentees and recruiting mentors, right? Do you have a special way of delivering content, right? Are you doing your mentoring program virtual or in person or hybrid and doing some sense of both? Okay. So we have to think about our program and how we can make it special, give it that special feel so young people could be connected, right? And want to stay in our program. And I'm telling you, this helped with retention, all right? Gotta have those qualified staff. I mentioned that earlier. Right person for the right job. One of my mentors told me, man, Jeff, when you're putting people on board, you got to think about the right person, right position, and the right time, right? Is this the right person? Do they have all the qualifications and the skills that you need? Are you putting them in the right position for them to be successful? And is this the right time in their lives, right? Also think about that for your mentors as well, right? They may have other obligations, but for your program leaders, right, and your partners, are these the right partnerships and the right people to lead your program or to be a part of your program? The success of your program is all contingent upon and depending on appropriate staffing. All right. Excuse me. And these are the skills that I found to help me as a program leader, as a mentor trainer. You got to be a great communicator. You have to, and that comes with effective listening. All right. Are you listening to their needs? Are you listening to their concerns? All right. Your youth developer has to be, they have to know how to build relationships. Like that is most critical, right? They can't, I'm trying to use the right words here. They can't be too hard on the young people, right? They have to develop that sense of trust, right? They got to know how to deal with conflict, because young people are going to have conflict in their personal lives. They're going to interfere with their work, right? With them working as mentors. You got to know how to deal with conflict in between your mentors. Two of your mentors may get into it. A mentor may have a conflict with a mentee, all right? So conflict resolution skills are very important. You also got to be flexible and understanding. Now, we're talking about dealing with young people. You know, we know young people come with a whole bunch of challenges and circumstances. So we got to be flexible and understand that we have to meet them where they are, okay? So we can't be tough on them, but we have to be firm but patient. You got to be firm with their expectations, what their responsibilities are, but you have to be patient because you are a youth developer and you're also developing the mentors. Do not think that your mentors are going to be, you know, with the expectation as an adult, right? That has all the skills and the know-hows, right? We have to be patient. We have to develop them. And you have to lead from behind, right? They are the front runners. They are your frontline staff. It's like a sheep herder, right? You have to lead them from behind, okay? And then lastly, your curriculum. Your curriculum is your GPS. It's going to get you to that final destination, right? If we said that the vehicle is, if we say that your model is the vehicle to that end goal, right? Your curriculum is everything that goes into it. It's your maintenance, it's your gas, it's your oil repair, right? It's all of those things, all of those technical things, okay? That is your curriculum. It's going to get you there, right? So a planned curriculum, right, or a suggested set of activities that are intended to produce specific outcomes in mentees and mentors. So you have to have these set activities, right? A set curriculum. And please, I always encourage people to find something that is evidence-based, okay? So develop a curriculum. Your curriculum could be based off of your theme, okay? Remember, keep using this lens of intentionality. So let's summarize. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Your why is that end goal in mind, right? What does success look like for your program? What are these outcomes that you have for your mentors and your mentees? This is why you're doing your program. You want to see young people improve in their educational goals. You want to see young people graduate high school on time and get to college. You want to see young people deal with conflict in healthy ways. This is why you're developing your program. You're winning your where. That's your model, right? The model that we spoke, that vehicle. Is it school-based? Is it after school? Is it community-based? Is it group? Is it one-on-one? Is it supervised, unsupervised? Is it hybrid or tiered, right? That's your when and where. Your who, informed by youth, right? Hire qualified youth developers and create partnerships, right? These are the who's, right? The people that you need to tap into in order to fully develop and design your program, all right? Oh man, Hook's in here. Excuse me, sorry, moved too fast. And your what, what makes your program special, right? What is that theme, that identity, that feel? What are young people buying into in your program? That's your what. What are they buying into? What are they getting out of your program? Okay. And your how you do this is by implementing curriculum. All right. I believe when we first design and developing things, we always want to think about the who, what, when, where, and how. And this is it. I'll open up for any questions before I go on to some examples. If anyone has any questions about any of the 5 considerations, or share any comments. Seeing none and hearing none. What's going on, Joe Hooks? Salute, sir. Seeing none and hearing none.
I do. I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you talk about, I'm sorry, this is Nancy Poole from KIPP, Baltimore.
Hey,
when you talk about lead from behind, I like that concept. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because a lot of adults are used to leading the charge and not letting the young people lead. So can you talk a little bit more about how you implement that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Trainings and development, right? So if we're saying that we need to implement the curriculum as the how, right? So how do we prepare the who's? Okay. We do this through staff development training. These young people are essentially going to be your staff. Okay. They're going to be delivering your content. So you have to train them on how to deliver content, right? How to prepare for content. Okay. How to prepare their content. Actually, you may even have young people develop the curriculum themselves, right? As a guide, you are this guiding hand, right? And not the leading foot, okay? You're the guiding hand and not the leading foot in this youth development and peer mentoring, all right? So when I say by leading from behind, you equip them with the skills and know-how for them to feel confident enough to be able to meet with young people on their own or supervised, right? But you prepare them for leading an activity, right? So what I used to do in my program, we would run the activities in our group settings before we met with the mentees. We practiced it, right? I trained them facilitation techniques, all right? We trained them on how to be a facilitator, all right? So training is definitely important, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit more, but great question. Any other questions? And remember, we also said that relationship building and that bond between the mentors and mentees are important. And we're not going to be able to allow young people to build those bonds and relationships if I'm always interjecting or seeming like I'm trying to like force the relationship myself. Things have to happen organically and naturally. And it takes time. That's why I said be patient. Any other questions? Good. Means I'm doing a good job then. I think so. All right, so here's my in real life example. Now, I work with the Full Circle Brotherhood. Now, I'm gonna go through the who, what, where, and why of the Full Circle Brotherhood, right? So the Full Circle Brotherhood was a mentoring program designed for 16 and 24 years old in Montgomery County who was a part of GED programs. They are disconnected youth. They dropped out of high school for one reason or another. Some of my young people had charges. Some of my young people were on probation, but they all were a part of the Latin American Youth Center, Maryland Multicultural Youth Center, GED program, specifically the Conservation Corps. Now, all of our young people, they learned conservation skills as well as went to school for the GED and received a stipend for being a part of the GED class. And so the Full Circle Brotherhood program was developed to provide them with opportunity for them to give back to young people. And the whole premise and the focus of this was for these transitional age youth, 16 to 24, to share their story with middle schoolers in hopes that they don't drop out too. All right, that was the theme, that was the feeling identity. And how do we do that? Through a brotherhood, through a bond, through you learning my mistakes, right? And me teaching you how I am dealing with the circumstances of my choices, but also what I'm doing to repair those things. And how can I guide you through the challenges that I once faced, that I know you're facing right now, or that I know that you will face? Most of our young people in our programs were Latino youth and African-American youth, and some youth from East Africa as well. So that was the theme, the feel of our program. All right. So this was the why, right? Our logic model that we developed. Right. If you look at the impact, right? Mentors are change makers for themselves and the communities. Mentors can hold a job down. Remember, we was working with disconnected youth. Some of them didn't have jobs, right? Some of them were homeless. And homeless is not just defined as sleeping, outside on the bridge or something. Homeless could be couch surfing from one house to the next house, not having stable housing. Okay, a lot of our young people was dealing with homelessness. All right, and mentors achieve educational goals, meaning they graduated with their GED. That's what we wanted to see in our program. That was our end goal. How do we get to that place? These were the activities that we did with the young people. Right, for the mentors, and mind you, this is mentor-specific outcomes, okay? We also had outcomes for our mentees. But one thing that we wanted to do was the pre-program workshops, right? Those pre-program workshops were the trainings. How do we prepare the mentor for this work, right? To lead. How do we prepare them for leadership? Okay. So we did team builder retreats. We took them out for 2-3 days to what is that camp called? It's a camp by the YMCA. Can't think of it. A YMCA camp. We went there for 2-3 days. We did trust walks, trust falls. We did a ritual. Okay. We did a ritual where they would write their regrets down and throw it into a campfire. We did a trust walk where they were blindfolded and had to hold on to each other to walk through uncharted areas, right? They stood on top of a bench and fell backwards and allowed each other to catch them. They developed a brotherhood between each other as mentors, because if you build a strong team, then you're going to have strong work ethics, okay? If you have a strong team, you'll have strong work ethics. Yes, it was Camp Let's. Thank you so much, Camp Let's, okay? And so we also had these educational activities for the mentors because we wanted to see them develop as well, right? So there was tutoring services, GED services, right? We look over their resumes, help them polish up their resumes, okay? They had case managers. All of our mentors had case managers, all right? And so some of the outputs, right? They attended these pre-programming outcomes. They got a curriculum, right? They delivered the curriculum. Our curriculum was based off of Brotherhood, Sister Soul, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later. And then these were the outcomes, the short-term outcomes and the long-term outcomes. Okay, our short-term outcomes were some things that were identified within the first 6 months to a year. Our long-term outcomes are about like our 2 to 3 year mark, right? So the mentors developed the identification and commitment to the brotherhood. How do we measure that? Man, we were seeing these young people, the brotherhood members that didn't know each other before, but they knew each other in the GED program, but they didn't engage with each other that much. But in the brotherhood, right, you started seeing relationships forge. And then they started just hanging out with each other more. They started wearing shirts. They started holding each other accountable. Hey, where's Jeff at? Hey, we got a program. Where's Jeff? We got to call Jeff. Hey, you know we got a program, all right? They was holding each other accountable. They were committed to this group, all right? They utilized youth development strategies. I had to teach them youth development skills. They are now youth developers. Your youth are going to be youth developers. So you have to teach them what does it mean to be a youth developer and what those skills are, right? And then they develop, you see right there, they develop the positive relationships with the mentees. This is what defines mentoring, that relationship, all right? And then our long terms, conflict resolution, awareness of emotions, right? They felt like they had a purpose. Before, they didn't feel like they had a purpose, right? Being disconnected, right? Not having a job, not having stable housing, right? But now they have a purpose because they're giving back to young people and they feel good about themselves, right? And when you feel good about yourself, you start making better decisions, all right? And then we talked about expanding views of masculinity. What does it mean to be masculine, right? What does it mean to care for each other as brothers, as men? So we challenge all of those things, all right? So this was the why. As you can see, this was the why. You could also see the vehicle, right? Our model being developed, and this was the lens in which we used. Any questions? I see a comment. Hey, Jeff, this is great. I'd like to hear about how you set up mentors and mentees in this group. Did students choose or did you use it? Man, okay. Well, I'll talk to you about recruitment. We're going to get to recruitment. Okay. We'll get to recruitment. All right. No problem, Beth. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right. So the where, when, who, why, blah, blah, blah. Right. So our when and where, we had a cross-age, near-to-peer, community-based mentoring program. That's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. The who. The program was informed by the youth, right? The youth informed the theme. They informed the logo. They informed the language, right? They developed a culture. We had our own handshake. And this is how we so connected. We had this handshake like this. Doop, doop, locking in, okay? When the mentors met the mentees, when they departed the mentees, that's all they did every time. Every time. I was noticing the mentors outside of program, whether in their GED classrooms, greeting their full circle brotherhood brother like this. outside of program. We were seeing this. They were connected to the program. We developed a culture and identity. They had something that they owned. They had shirts that they wore. We had uniforms. We had a t-shirt that we wore, right? So that shirt that we wore represented the brotherhood. And some people wanted that shirt. And when we were going to the communities, walking the kids home from the program site or doing activities outside wearing the shirts, adults will come to me and say, hey, what are those shirts about? And I would tell them, right? So we had our own sense of swag, our own style, our way of doing things, okay? Right? So that was the who. We also had partnership with the YMCA. So I was responsible for developing the program and training and recruiting the mentors. The YMCA was the YMCA Youth and Family Services in Silver Spring was responsible for the mentees. They provided us with the mentees, all right? And then we also partnered with community-based organizations and schools. All of our young people came from White Oak Middle. So I will go to White Oak and do a presentation for young people, show them all the pictures and videos of us doing all the cool, amazing things, trips and field trips and parties and food and everything that looks fun. And that was the buy-in. That was the buy-in. And then what happened was, all I had to do was recruit 6th and 7th graders. The next time when I recruited, people already knew about the program because their friends were talking about it. They were talking about it at school. So then they wanted to be a part of it. Hey, yeah, my older brother was a part of it. My friend was a part of it. How can I get in? Right? So we developed that culture, right? The what, right? That feel, right? It was that brotherhood. People wanted to be a part of that brotherhood, that bond, right? This is also a part of our theme. And our theme was conservation. So we did a lot of conservation work. We did cleanups. We did cleanup in Anacostia. We did cleanups at the Chesapeake Bay, right? We did these things. We did Earth Day every year, right? So we focused on the values of conservation and preserving the earth for the next generation, all right? And then our how. Well, our curriculum was developed from Brotherhood, Sister, Soul. And our curriculum in terms of cultural identity, in terms of rituals, right? And retreats. So like I mentioned earlier, we had rituals, right? That made you a part of this brotherhood for life, right? So a rites of passage we did as well. That was a part of our curriculum to get young people to be connected to this group. And then we also used our 3 values to guide our workshop development trainings. So our 3 values were brotherhood, manhood, and leadership, right? And we talked about how we encourage, support, and empower each other. So we use those themes to develop our curriculum. So every curriculum we develop, right, or that young people would develop, I would ask them, hey, is this focused on encouragement? Is this focused on empowering? Or is this focused on supporting? And then we use that through the lens, we use that lens to develop content and material. And we're going to focus on this conversation. Also, what happened, there was an incident that took place, and I set everyone down in a circle, and we addressed the issue, and the people who caused whatever the problem was owned up to it without being forced, without saying you're going to get kicked out, right? Without being negative, right? Just let them know, hey, look, this is a safe space. And if you cannot treat each other with kindness and respect, then you don't belong a part of this program. So I implore you guys to not do what you did again. And, you know, and to show some manhood, right? And some accountability by owning up to what you did. And the young people owned up to it. They stood up and said, I did it. One young person stood up and said, I did it. And he helped me. He pointed to his friend, ratted his friend out, right? But after that, we just applauded them, came together and hugged. And then it was that. We never spoke of it again. I asked the young people, our mentors, how did they feel about that? He said it was powerful. One of our mentors said it was powerful. He said that was a power circle. And from now on, we developed a power circle. Every time we wanted to address an issue or we wanted to talk about something that was serious, we had a power circle added into our curriculum and our development. And that was designed by the young people. All right. So here goes an example, right? Here goes one of the things that one of our young mentors said, right? After he graduated with his GED, he said, it's almost the end of the year, and I want to give a special shout out to FCB. Being a part of FCB program was one of the greatest things I've done this year. Being able to share my experiences with the young ones and help them to not make the same mistakes I've made and guide them to be better members of the community, their families, and most importantly, to be better for themselves. That is the benefit of this program, right? You can see that connection with that mentor. He had a sense of purpose now, all right? So I want to share quickly, I probably won't get to both videos, but I wanted to share this video of one of my mentors who I brought to an event, a youth symposium. And let me also mention this. I provided my mentors with opportunities for speaking engagements, for them to talk about mentoring, for them to talk about youth development, for them to talk about the challenges of young people, for them to talk about the challenges of young Black people, for them to talk about the challenges of young Latino men. All right. I provided them with opportunities for them to share their stories, for them to do advocacy. All right. This is how I develop leadership in them and confidence in them as well. So I want you to briefly hear from one of my standout mentors who I'm still connected with to this day, Romello Davis. So quickly, Ms. Monfort, who is joining us here today, led this, and she asked him, who is a mentor in your life? And to my surprise, he said me. And I will let you guys know that as a youth developer and as a mentor trainer, sometimes you don't know how young people are looking at you, all right?
I gotta name a particular person. Shut up. That man right there holding the camera. His name is Jeff. Raise your hand if he is here. When I first, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but I've moved in a lot of different states, and recently I just moved from Nashville, Tennessee last year, July. And I enrolled in the program back in September, and it was during a time when I was contemplating suicide really hard. And I really wasn't even trying to get my GED. I was really just kind of forced into it because of the life that I already had. And it was just, I just want to get in and out, and I had this attitude and I couldn't control it. And as time went on, it was like, I didn't know about the Full Circle Brotherhood yet. And while I was in the program, the GED program, Jeff, whenever I would catch an attitude with somebody, whenever I would be like to start, you can think about it.
Sorry, excuse me. There you go.
Attitude with somebody, whenever I would be less of the man that I am now, it was kind of like he would try to put me in check, but not do it without me. He would try to do it without me noticing it. And it's making me realize, where I should be control myself and understanding that, everybody has emotion, everybody has feelings. It's just, we have to get through life. I've seen every single homeless shelter I've lived in churches, cars, been to like 8 schools and so on and so on. And when I enrolled in here, Jeff, it was just, my mind got back to, I can't say normal because I never knew what it was like to be me. And he just allowed me to find it, and I've been able to be more positive than ever. Because before
Cool, I'm gonna stop right there. So as you can see, the value, right, of a youth developer, right? I was firm with him, but I was also patient, okay? This allowed him to stay in a part of the group. He didn't want to be in part of the group, but I saw the benefit in the program for him. That he was homeless. He compares his life to The Pursuit of Happiness. He grew up homeless with his father, living in cars and everything like that. But now he's in college, right? Studying to be I think he's studying psychology now, okay? So, who's to say that this program, right, or that this program, improved and changed the trajectory of his life, okay? These are the benefits of mentoring programs, right? And then you can also see the value of having a high quality youth developer. So we have to be able to share share our relationships with our young people and be able to build them up too.
attitude with some.
Got it. All right, now let's go into some research here. All right, so We talked about the elements of effective practice, but also National Mentor has what they call addendums or supplements to the elements of effective practice. So we have the elements of effective practice that covers the 6 standards around mentoring, focus on enhancements and benchmarks in each of these standards. But then they also have supplements for mentoring specific programs. So they have supplements for working with LGBT youth, working with boys and youth of color, peer mentoring models, virtual e-mentoring models. So they have these supplements that's going to give recommendations that are specific for that specific model. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of these things. And also, if you stay all the way to the end, I have a Google Drive for you that's going to have a whole bunch of resources on how to develop and design your mentoring program. All right, it's about 7 of them. So let's go into recruiting peer mentors. Oh, first, any questions before I move on? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna move on because we are close to time. All right, so I'm gonna kind of pick out a couple of these ones. Well, I've already picked out a couple ones that I thought I wanted to mention, but looking at time, I'm only going to mention a few. All right, but I have the resource for you guys as well. Okay, so your mentor recruitment. So the benchmark is programs engaged in recruitment strategies that realistically portray the benefits, practices, and supports, right? And the challenges of mentoring programs. So the recommendations for a peer mentor model is that your message to these prospective mentors is the fact that they will be mentoring someone who is young to them, right? Or someone that is close to their age. All right, so we're using youth-friendly messaging, all right? We're using youth-friendly messaging to get them to want to enroll into our programs or spark their interest in the program. All right. Let's see which one. You clarify the responsibility and the roles. All right. Clarify those responsibilities and roles of the mentor. So what the expectations is, what is the time commitment? All right. What is the schedule? Right. So for the mentoring, for the Full Circle Brotherhood mentoring program, we work Monday through Thursday. Every Monday and Wednesday, we went to the program site. And every Tuesday and Thursday, we did curriculum development, facilitation skills and trainings. All right. And also, let me mention that we did pay our young people a stipend. That was an incentive right there. Some people just wanted to come for the money. I could tell which ones was which. But you'll learn how to weed them out, and I'll give you some techniques of how to weed some people out, all right? Or just to put some people on the sideline until you feel like they're ready to be mentors, all right? Some of the enhancements, okay? You're communicating to mentors about how this experience can benefit them, all right? So you want to use messages that talks about personal growth. You know how they could use this as a resume builder. You want to talk about how you're providing for us, how we're providing opportunities for them to speak, to city officials, right, about some of the challenges that's happening in the communities. A lot of our young people, had challenges with the police in Montgomery County. So there was opportunity for them to go to a city hall meeting and talk to them about how police brutality is affecting them, right? So let them know that you have these opportunities for them, all right? But remember, we're also looking through our lens of intentionality. So depending on which your program outcomes and how you define success is going to inform your messaging, okay? So think about what it is that what your model is, what the outcomes are, what success look like, and include that into your messaging, all right? And then you want to recruit those who got the skills and motivations. So you want to prioritize the recruitment of individuals who can benefit from being a mentor, right? Do you think that that your program is going to be able to help them develop certain characteristic traits for them to be better in life? Okay. You want to recruit those who have a positive attitude towards young people and are comfortable with initiating conversation with peers. I'll push back on this a little bit because you could train young people for this as well. So if you see the slightest inclination that they may be moldable, right, or trainable, I would say recruit those young people as well, right, and put them to the test. Put them to the test in certain cases. And I'll explain what I've done in my recruitment strategies. That they're at least 2 years of age, right? And then they have a previous experience, okay? So being intentional about who you're trying to recruit and what is the message that you're going to need in order to get them to come into your program, all right? Now, screening. How do we screen these mentors? All right. Now, we're going to notice a lot of overlap between recruitment and screening. As you can see here in some of the recommendations, have a positive attitude towards youth, being comfortable to initiate conversations, right? So how do you screen for these things? What I did in my program is that not only did we do interviews, right, one-on-one interviews, I also did group interviews as well, because I wanted to see how you interact with your peers, how you interact with a team. I want to see. So I did icebreakers. When young people were acting too cool to be engaged or to participate in things, no, I need y'all to be excited. I need y'all to want to lead some of these workshops. I'm going to need you to want to participate in these things, because we're going to be asking young people to do the same things as well. So I wanted to see them in action. So I would do icebreaker activities. We'll run 3 or 4 different icebreaker activities and team building activities. And I would see, who was just like, and then who was really engaged. And those will be the ones that I was more inclined to recruit than the others. And then sometimes you have a balance, right? You have a balance. Like one of my mentors told me, it's more than lettuce to make a salad, right? So you gotta have some diversity in personality, right? Because you may have some laid back mentees as well too, and so they may be able to connect as well. All right. So you want to conduct, like I mentioned, conduct at least one-to-one, at least one face-to-face interview with the prospective mentor. Like I said, I added a group model as well, a group mentor, a group interview as well to kind of see how they engaged. And then also you want to interview or do reference checks, right? So if you're doing a school-based model, get some recommendations from teachers. Ask them, hey, I need a reference letter from a teacher or a counselor, a recommendation from, another youth, all right, a coach, an employer, but keep in mind of your lens. Please keep in mind of your lens, okay? So you want to get recommendations, you want to do interviews, all right? And then lastly, training. And remember, your recruitment, your screening, and your training is all onboarding. For me, if you missed the interviews, if you didn't come to all the trainings, you were not allowed to come into the program, all right? You weren't allowed to meet the young people yet until you got 40 hours of training. I decided that I wanted to train my young people for 40 hours, 10 hours a week. So we met a month prior to them meeting with the young people. So school started in September. For the month of August, we were training. And I trained them in the same time frame that the program was operating. So I trained them every Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6. That was program time. Me seeing how you came to our training was allowing me to see, okay, they can make it to program every week. I was able to vet them out that way. All right. So training, I trained them 40 hours on youth development, conflict resolution, facilitation techniques. And then I did an orientation about what the program was on the front end, right? A week worth of orientation about the program and how the program was designed and developed and what it means to be a mentor, right? Talked about those things in the beginning. We focused on positive youth development skills, facilitation techniques, and conflict resolution, 40 hours. Like I said, I was working with disconnected young people, right? I was working with disconnected young people. So I felt like, man, I really need to have to pull them up. All right. And they got paid for the training as well. Okay. So yes, brilliant. That timing suggestion. Yes. Thanks, Nancy. All right. And so so you want to provide like at least 2 hours of pre-match training. Like I said, I gave them 40. So depending on your population and youth, you may want to extend that a little bit more for comfortability or, for readiness. Okay. These are some of the topics for that you should train your mentors on. I explained the ones that I use, but you could train your mentors on, site-specific attendance and arrival and departure procedures, right? So, train them on, how to enter the program, what to do when you conclude the program, right? You also train your mentors on how to provide feedback on program activities and relationships. So this is also key. This is critical. You got to have a debrief after every session. Debrief with your mentor. So after my mentors left the workshop, left the program site to walk the mentees home, and then we all met back at the site, we would have a debrief. What went well with the activity? What didn't go well with the activity? What are some of the things that you noticed about the young person? Hey, Manuel wasn't feeling really good today. Yeah, we noticed that. You know what I'm saying? What was going on with him? And we had the group mentoring model as well. So the relationships happen organically, right? Organically. We started noticing the mentees asking specifically for certain mentors. Hey, why Josh ain't come today? So debriefing is critical because it allows them to reflect critically too about what they did and how things are working, and provides you with feedback, and also using youth voice. All right. Some other training recommendations: you train them on how to deliver the program activities, okay, with enthusiasm. Like I mentioned earlier, so you need your youth developer to be enthusiastic and energetic, right? Because you want them to pour that same energy into the mentors. All right. You have to lead by example too. We asking them to lead by example. We do too. All right. You also want to train peer mentors on how to manage challenges. So like I said, conflict resolution. All right. I'll send you all these guys' research. I'm really nearing the end of my time. I wanted to show you another example, right, of a K through 12 approach to mentoring, peer mentoring, and then the college transition approach. So who would be the age of the mentors, right? Middle school and high school students. Their mentees would be middle and elementary school students, right? A little bit older, at least 2 years, right? The setting is normally at a school or off-site, right? And like we said, we have these different type of models, right? These vehicles, a one-on-one and group, right? These are some of the outcomes, right? Social inclusion, school connectedness, we talked about, leadership development, we talked about, right? Lifestyle, healthy relationships, okay? Those can be some of your outcomes of the lens in which you develop your curriculum, all right? And then we talk about supervision, right? And training, right? The extensive, significant work with these mentors to develop how to implement these activities. All right. And then the benefits. Okay. The benefits, they grow as a leader. They have more self-confidence, right? Self-efficacy. They have more pro-social engagement and skills. All right. Now flip it to the college students, right? Or college transition focus, right? You probably use upperclassmen to focus on high school students who are about to matriculate to college. Right? Sometimes these may be primarily one-on-one, right? Because, these college students may be, technically they're adults, all right? There's some light training because you already feel like they may be already equipped in some ways versus heavier training for some of the young people. For my program, it was a combination of both because I had 16-year-olds as mentors and I had 23-year-olds as mentors, right? But they all were from, had their own lived life experiences. The mentor benefit, like I said, like they're saying, friendship, satisfaction of helping other younger people and teaching them how to avoid certain challenges. This is just a quick example of how it looks in different settings with different populations. Okay, this is also included into the Elements of Effective Practice supplement. It has more details as well. All right, so boom, here goes the free resource. All right, you hurry up here. I'm gonna put this in the chat boxes as well. Here, you can take a screenshot of that if you like. Put it in the chat box as well, copy and paste. You'll get some research for all the people who like research on cross-age peer mentoring. There's a guidebook on effective peer mentoring as well. I also have a review on one-to-one cross-age peer mentoring models. There's also a guide, right? A peer mentoring guide. So I also have a peer mentoring guidebook in there as well to teach you how to train and develop mentors. And then there's the supplements, right? The peer mentor supplement, the EEP checklist, the EEP full report, and the summary. All right. Any questions at this time? I'll open up for any questions, comments, feedback. Thank you, Miss Montfort. All right, I'm going to turn over to Carlos because I'm not hearing any questions, but we do want you all to be able to take a survey of this training. Please, please take this survey. It helps me be better. It helps informs Maryland Mentor about trainings that we should do and continue. And yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank y'all for your time. I hope that this information was helpful. I'm seeing people saying thank you. So salutes to you guys. Thank you for participating. Remember, use your lens of intentionality when developing your program and think about your who, what, when, where, and whys and your hows. That's the overall message for this, okay? Thank you all so much. I appreciate you guys, and let's continue to build our communities and lift up our young people and support each other. Partnerships are key. We're not competitors in this work. We are partners. Thank you.
Excellent, 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 man. That was great. You know, I think I said in the beginning that Jeff was full of knowledge, but he's kind of exceeded that statement. So I need to find bigger and better words to describe him. So if on your screen you see the QR code, that goes to our training evaluation. All right, so please, you can easily just, if you're on a computer, just take your phone, scan it, boom, takes you right to the evaluation. If not, if you're on, if you are using your phone to watch, or tablet to watch this, then just head over to your browser and type in bit.ly/ or backslash, I'm sorry, MD Mentor Training Eval. Put all that together. Okay. And yeah, and go through the evaluation again. Let us know how this training went for you. Was it effective? You know, all the questions are there. But again, this helps us know what we're doing in the future, know how we can improve, and know, and most importantly, know what you need. So yes, so please complete that. We look forward to the feedback. We'll have this up for about another couple of minutes, just in case. But other than that, please enjoy the rest of your beautiful Thursday.
Also, okay, I'm not muted. Hey, Carlos, you want to go to the next slide to talk about upcoming?
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
All right, so everyone, please make sure you you can type that in. Can is there a way that you could put that into the chat box, the link?
Yep, we can do that. Let me do that real quick.
You're gonna put the link in the chat box as well for you to copy and paste. But you can also take a picture of the QR code. It'll pop up on your phone or whatever device you're using. No problem, Rochelle. Thank you for coming.
All right, there it is.
Great. Okay, the link is in the chat box as well. Upcoming, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah. So coming up in March, telling youth stories with justice. This is going to be a good one, folks, because wait a minute, hold on. Did I mute? Oh, okay, never mind. I don't know. I thought I was on mute. Okay, here we go. Anyway, like I said, telling youth stories with justice. This is going to be good, okay? Because in this line of work, what happens a lot, and I've seen it myself many a times. The stories of our youth are told through let's say a specific lens, right? Or a very narrow perspective, right? And sometimes it doesn't give the full picture, and most importantly, their perspective. So how can you tell those stories with justice? That's what the training on March 10th will be about, from 4 to 5:30. Please take a look. We'll have this in our newsletter. If you have not signed up for the newsletter, please do. Or just head on over to marylandmentor.net /events. marylandmentor.net /events to register. The next one on Friday, March 26th, risk management essentials for mentoring programs. How to identify the things that can track your program, the things that can trip your program up, those pitfalls, how to manage them, how to mitigate those risks, how to avoid them. Okay, Friday, March 26th from 11 a.m. to 12:30. Again, you can register at marylandmentor.net /events.
Got it.
Wonderful. Make sure you follow us on all social medias. If you're not, at Maryland Mentor, that's the handle for every social media that we have. You can email us at info@marylandmentor.net. You have any questions, comments, concerns, want to know this, want to know that, we'll get back to you there. Please give us 24 hours to respond, at least 24 hours to respond. Because as you probably can guess, you get a lot of questions, comments, and concerns in that box. So please give us 24 hours to reply back. And if you need to reach Mr. Jeff Walker, you can reach him at jwalker@transitionwalkers.com. All right. So again, if you have not already, please continue to work on those evals. Very important for us. And once you're done, you're done. You're done for the day. Not from work. Whatever you're doing at work, I'm not releasing you from your jobs. Okay, you go back to work, whatever you're doing. But that will be the conclusion of our training for today.
Hey, Carlos, quick. Someone asked a question about the recording. Will the recording be posted on the website? Yes,
the recording will be posted on our on the events page. There'll be an archive section of recording. So today's Thursday. I would assume that will be there around Monday.
Oh, great. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. And please reach out to myself or Maryland Mentor if you need any more support. Like I said, that link, I'll put it back here again if anyone missed it. To a shared drive with resources. I update this drive often, so please save the drive, star it. I will continue to put information in there once I find it. Like I said, I'm gonna pour out to you guys, and feel free to add resources into there as well. Right, we're building our community, and we're a community of mentors. All right, so thank you all. I'm gonna go have my lunch now. Y'all take care and enjoy your weekend.